धन्यवाद। हमारे यहाँ की परंपरा है कि हम प्रत्येक कार्यक्रम का आरंभ दीप प्रज्वलन से करते हैं। तो मैं माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति जी और माननीय मंत्री जी और अन्य मंचासीन अतिथिगण से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि कृपया दीप प्रज्वलन के लिए करके इस कार्यक्रम की गरिमा बढ़ाएं। दुनिया के किसी भी कोने में एक फ्लेम होता है। हमारे यहाँ ये लॉ ज्ञान का की लॉ है, अध्यात्म की लॉ है। और हम प्रभु से आशीर्वाद मांगते हैं, माँ सरस्वती का आह्वान करते हैं कि हम जिस संकल्प के साथ इकट्ठे हुए हैं वो हमें प्राप्त हो। असतो मा सद्गमया तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गमया। ओम शांति।
May every Indian have this light of knowledge and wisdom within them. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय। जब शब्द काफी ना हो तो हम एक प्लांटर का सहारा लेना चाहते हैं। ये कहना चाहते हैं कि बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप यहाँ पधारे हैं। So now we would like to felicitate our esteemed guests on the dais with a token of our appreciation and gratitude. May I request the Law Secretary to felicitate our chief guest, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, Honorable Vice President of India. I request you, sir. I request Dr. Nitin Chandra ji, Law Secretary, to felicitate our chief guest. जोरदार करतल ध्वनि से स्वागत हो जाए। बहुत बहुत आभार सर कि आप अपना कीमती समय निकालकर यहाँ पधारे हैं, हमारे समक्ष हैं। बहुत बहुत आभार। And now may I request our Law Secretary to felicitate our Law Minister, Honorable Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji. स्वागत है माननीय। आप यहाँ पधारे हैं, हमारे कार्यक्रम की गरिमा बढ़ी है। Thank you. And now a warm welcome to Mr. Justice Arun Kumar Mishra ji, Chairperson, National Human Rights Commission of India. Warm welcome. A warm welcome from the bottom of our hearts, sir. Ms. Justice Indira Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. सुस्वागतम मैम यहाँ पधारने के लिए। Thank you so much. And now, a warm welcome for Mr. Justice Ritu Raj Awasthi ji, Chairperson, Law Commission of India. बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर आपका। Thank you for being here amidst us. And now, Shri Tushar Mehta ji, Learned Solicitor General of India. Sir, यहाँ पधारने के लिए धन्यवाद. Thank you so much for being a part of this august audience and dignitaries. और अब मैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ लीगल अफेयर्स में संयुक्त सचिव श्रीमती सुनीता आनंद जी से निवेदन करती हूं कि कृपया विधि सचिव डॉक्टर नितिन चंद्रा जी का स्वागत करें। मैम। वेलकम सर, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका। इस कार्यक्रम को इस रूप में देने का आपका बहुत बहुत अधिक योगदान है, धन्यवाद। Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I now request the Honorable Vice President of the country, along with the Honorable Law Minister and other dignitaries on the dais, to kindly release two publications. The first one is called A Guide to Alternative Dispute Resolution. So we will have the release of two books today. A Guide to Alternative Dispute Resolution is an endeavor by the Department of Legal Affairs to enable the common citizens of the country to understand the framework of arbitration and mediation existent in India. It is a publication which would be a ready reckoner for comprehending the benefits and advantages of these mechanisms for timely, cost-effective, and efficient dispute resolution. So here we go for the book release. A Guide to Alternative Dispute Resolution. कृपया करतल ध्वनि से इसका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आशा करते हैं ये बहुत सारे लोगों के काम आएगी। हमारी दूसरी किताब है, उसका टाइटल है, थैंक यू वेरी मच, पर्सपेक्टिव्स ऑन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड डेवलपमेंट। पर्सपेक्टिव्स ऑन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड development. It's a compilation of articles and lectures delivered by eminent academicians and scholars as a part of a lecture series organized to mark the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Friends, the book contains insightful reflections of illustrious academicians and jurists about the constitutional democratic setup of India, its working over the years, and the challenges and possibilities of reform. जी, करतल ध्वनि से हमारे अतिथिगण का धन्यवाद करें। Perspectives on Constitution and Development. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. संविधान दिवस की पूर्व संध्या पर भारतीय विधि मंत्रालय ने भारतीय विधि संस्थान के सहयोग से एक वाद विवाद प्रतियोगिता यानी कि एक डिबेट कंपटीशन का आयोजन किया, जिसका विषय था लिमिट्स टू लिबर्टी, फंडामेंटल राइट्स वर्सेस ड्यूटीज। So apt, isn't it? Well, we would like to award the winners today, and I request once again our Honorable Vice President, our Honorable Law Minister, and other dignitaries on the dais to do the honors of giving the awards. May I now announce the first award? It goes to Manasi Pilla and Nandini Kaushik from Bennett University, and they represent their team. Come, Manasi Pilla and Nandini Kaushik, आइए। Congratulations to the youngsters. इनका प्रोत्साहन करें जोरदार तालियों से। आज भी मंच पर खड़े होकर बहुत लोगों के हाथ कांपते हैं। इन्होंने तो बाजी मारी है, पहला प्राइज जीता है, बहुत बहुत बधाई हो। And now we shall freeze the moment through the picture. And our next, thank you very much, thank you very much. May I call upon the second prize from the team, Tejaswini Satish. Thank you very much for doing the honors, sir. And congrats to Manasi Pilla and Nandini Kaushik. Second prize representing their team, Tejaswini Satish and Pratham Pidaparthi from India IIULER, Goa. Wonderful. ये हमारे कल के लीडर्स हैं, आज का यूथ हमारा कल का लीडर है. Well, the second prize representing their team goes to Tejaswini Satish and Pratham Pedaparthi from India IIULER Goa. Congratulations to both of you. So the moment has been frozen in a picture. It will be a part of their memoir. A third prize representing their team goes to Prerna Chima and Divyanshu Goel from Punjab University. Congratulations, Prerna Chima and Divyanshu Goel. Heartiest congratulations for getting the third prize. No mean task. A proud moment. Wonderful, congratulations. And now I call upon the best speaker, Shisho Ghosh, NUJS from West Bengal. Yes, Shisho Ghosh, please come and take your award as the best speaker. Congratulations. आपको बहुत आज आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है कि आप आगे भी ऐसे ही आप सब अवार्ड्स जीतते रहें और डिबेट्स जीतते रहें. So the moment is being captured in a picture. थैंक यू वेरी मच. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे अतिथिगण, हमारे मुख्य अतिथि और माननीय लॉ मिनिस्टर जी. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप में फॉर डूइंग द ऑनर्स. थैंक यू सो मच. Indeed, a proud moment for the awardees, their families, the universities, school, and let's give them a lot of blessings from the bottom of our hearts. And now, friends, अब मैं डॉक्टर नितिन चंद्रा जी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि सर आप कृपया औपचारिक रूप से हम सबका स्वागत करें. जी सर.
Honorable Vice President, Sir, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, Honorable Minister Law and Justice, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, distinguished dignitaries, other dignitaries on the dais, a very distinguished gathering of participants, including senior officers, our Attorney General, President of ITAT, secretaries of different departments, joint secretaries, additional secretaries, people from the bar, and my very dear students who have come from different national law universities in different parts of the country. Today is a day of celebration. It's not a serious day, so we should not be having a very grim face. It's a day of commemoration of the great achievement of our great leaders. It is a great occasion to remind ourselves of the dedication, the commitment, and the hard work, and the team spirit that prevailed during those days, which led to the production of this important document, which we call the Constitution of India. It was an effort of more than 250 people from all parts of the country. They sat together, deliberated for more than 160 days. They took 11 sessions, and the deliberations, discussions continued for more than 2 years. 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. There were so many challenges that the decision makers, the makers of our Constitution, were facing at that point of time. So many questions were to be answered. Today we have a question of law, and the Honorable Supreme Court has to set up a constitution bench and have a decision on that question of law. Now, at that time, the question of law was, what will be the form of government? The question of law was, what will be the form of the Constitution? These were the seminal questions which our eminent leaders had to collectively answer. Huge amount of work and research went on to it. There was a legacy of the old British acts, and we had the opportunity, the leaders had the opportunity of variety of constitutions available. Constitution of the USA, of Australia, of Canada, Ireland, and they had their own wisdom, the long-standing experience of the freedom struggle, which itself had made clear the agenda for a free nation. It was in that spirit they decided what will be the form of the Constitution and what will be the form of the government. I'll not get into that. But look at the framework that they gave us, on which we have walked for so long years. And today we can proudly claim our place in the Committee of Nations. We are the 5th largest economy in the world. Not only that, we are one of the fastest growing economy. Not many of us will be surprised to know that we are the most populous nation, but we are not hungry nation. We are feeding the world. We are feeding ourselves, and we are feeding the world. We are the largest producer of sugar in the world. We are the 2nd largest producer of rice. We are the 2nd largest producer of wheat. Our exports of agriculture account for more than $55 billion. We have a hugely modern agriculture. We are using drones. Our farmers are using drones in agriculture. Look at the industries. Today, we are supplying electronic goods, petroleum products, chemicals, automobiles to far-flung countries, including USA, the entire European Union, Japan. China is one of our 2nd largest trading partner. So Made in India has really come to occupy a center stage. The mission of Atmanirbhar Bharat is very shortly going to be realized. And therefore our Honorable Prime Minister keeps reminding us of the vision of 2047. In the next 30 years, we have to become one of the best and one of the largest economies of the world, of a kind which everyone else would emulate. So let this day be a day of commemoration, joy, celebration, and a day of renewal of our commitment to building a new nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone for the evening. Indeed, our Constitution is very dynamic with more than 100 amendments and has kept pace with the times. Well, we move on now, and that was Dr. Nitin Chandra ji, Law Secretary. और अब मैं Learned Solicitor General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta ji से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि आप कृपया 2 शब्द कहें. श्री तुषार मेहता जी.
Good evening to all of you. Honorable Vice President of India, our own beloved Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, who apart from being the Vice President of this great country, is also a jurist in his own right. Honorable Justice Arun Mishra Sahab, Chairman, Chairman, National Human Rights Commission, Justice Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Justice Avasthi, Chairman, Law Commission of India, the learned Attorney General for India, distinguished officers, students, and distinguished dignitaries. Any constitution framed for a nation is always a vehicle of governance, and the country decides for itself how their future governance would take shape. The document, by its very nature, has to be a document which would transit generations. It is not a document for 10 years, 15 years, or 50 years. It would be a document which remains a living, live document, taking into account all future contingencies. Our Constitution is a manifestation of the very spirit of Indian people immediately post-decolonization. The process of framing this Constitution represented a culmination of different groups and identities into a cohesive national whole. This sentiment was very beautifully expressed by none other than Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in the first speech made in the Constituent Assembly, where he said, and I quote, "Samavaya eva suduhu," which means concord alone is the supreme good. With this idea in mind, the Constitution is always seen as an instrument that binds the people and the nation and brings all of us together despite several disparities and several differences in terms of language, in terms of food habits, in terms of geographical divisions. When the Constituent Assembly set forth on the constitution-making process, one of the biggest challenges which is generally undermined was that it was making a constitution for a very limited part of India. When I say so, there is a reason behind it. When Britishers left India, or where we ensured that they leave India, India was consisting of 550 approximately princely states, and under the Indian Independence Act, they had the option of either signing a treaty of accession with the Union of India, signing a treaty of accession with the then formed Pakistan, or to remain sovereign in their own right. When the Constitution started being framed and debated, all princely states had not become part of this Constitution, the Constituent Assembly, and therefore many princely states, very interestingly, were in the process of framing their own constitution. They chose to remain sovereign in their own right. So, in a sense, when it started, it was not a national constituent assembly, but it did not stop its process, and constitution was debated by diverse groups even outside the Constituent Assembly, including darbars, namely the assemblies of the princely states, whether we would have rather have this constitution being framed or have our own constitution. It was only one single individual responsible, the great Sardar Patel, who ensured that all princely states ultimately come in the fold of the Union of India as we understand today, and thereafter they were permitted to participate even in the Constituent Assembly debates. This was a collaborative process, and the creation of the Indian Constitutional Order was thus based on the debates and participation of all participating units, which eventually became a part of Union of India. One of the common criticism, friends, which is made with regard to our constitution is that it is a constitution which is framed mostly by lawyers and for lawyers. Interestingly, while discussing the concept of citizenship, the chairman of one of the committees stated that he would want the lawyers to examine the citizenship clauses because by its very nature, the subject required a little legal knowledge and legal acumen. The great Patabi Sitaramaiah was a member of the Constituent Assembly, literally quirked. He says, I suggest that in addition to 3 lawyers, one man with common sense also should be included in the committee or a body which would undertake the exercise of knowing or providing for the citizenship clauses. And the chairman, in a very lighter note, responded that I do not exclude lawyers from the people having common sense. So trust them, they would do what is best for the nation. Despite its legalistic overtones and drafting history, one must not forget that when India became independent and we got the decolonization, large number of countries got independent during that era, 1947, maybe few years before or few years after, and everyone experimented their own respective constitutions, and India is one of the very few countries whose constitution has withstood the challenges of time, the challenges which were foresaw by the eminent people who drafted the constitution. And this is something which is unique about this constitution. Even after 75 years, the constitution has withstood the challenges. Our constitution is resilient and it has withered even the worst challenges. Friends, during emergency, we had a great opposition leader, Acharya Kriplani. Acharya Kriplani was hospitalized and the doctors who investigated him said that you are suffering from a poor constitution. What the doctors referred to was the physical constitution. And it was immediately after the emergency. So he jokingly said that, doctor, you may not understand my answer, but I don't have any constitution, I am full of amendments only now. But it is the beauty of our constitution that it could withstand even the democracy and came out stronger, ensuring that no such event happens in future. The constitution was carefully molded to be a responsive document, one that could not only meet the challenges of the time in which it was created, but the challenges of the future as well. Friends, while celebrating the Constitution Day, let us pay tribute and express our gratitude to those great minds of men and women of eminence, extraordinary intelligence and brilliance, and men and women with foresight who could foresee 100 years down the line, 150 years down the line, who by their collective wisdom gave us a document under which our country has progressed every year. I am thankful to the Ministry that I am given this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you. Sharing a dais with a legal luminary like Vice President Saab is by itself a reward, and for that I specially thank the Law Ministry. I thank all of you for giving me a very patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for adding that sprinkle of humor in a very serious audience and a very serious issue. Otherwise, you talk about collaborative efforts. That's why in India, and Sanskrit has given us a very good word, Sangachatvam. Let's move together, let's progress together. Thank you very much, sir. और अब मैं कानून आयोग के माननीय अध्यक्ष श्री जस्टिस ऋतुराज अवस्थी जी से निवेदन करती हूं कि माननीय आप हम सबको संबोधित करें। सर।
Honorable the Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, Honorable Minister for State, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, Honorable Mr. Justice Arun Mishra, Chairperson NHRC, Honorable Ms. Justice Indra Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Learned Solicitor General of India, Sri Tushar Mehta ji, Dr. Nitin Chandra, Secretary, Department of Legal Affairs, Government of India, on the dais, Learned Attorney General of India, Shri Venkat Ramani ji, and other distinguished dignitaries and guests sitting off the dais, honorable judges, officers, scholars, lawyers, and friends from the legal fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar and very good evening to all of you. It is indeed immensely pleasing that we have assembled here today to celebrate our Constitution Day. It is my singular honor to be present here among such esteemed dignitaries for this event. This day being celebrated as Samvidhan Divas holds immense historical and constitutional significance as it commemorates the adoption of the Indian Constitution by the Constitutional Assembly in 1949. The history of Constitution Day is intrinsically linked to the tireless efforts of the framers of the Indian Constitution. Constitution Day is an occasion to remember and honor the contribution of the visionary leaders who played a pivotal role in shaping the foundational documentation of the country. The importance of Constitution Day extends beyond mere commemoration. It serves as a reminder of the values enshrined in the Constitution and reinforces the commitment to upholding the principles of democracy, rule of law, and social justice. The Constitution of India is not just a legal document, but a living document that has evolved to address the changing needs and aspirations of the nation. On Constitution Day, various programs and events are organized across the country to educate citizens about the Constitution, its history, and the rights and duties it guarantees. Constitution Day serves as an occasion for citizens to reaffirm their commitment to the ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It emphasizes the importance of constitutional literacy and encourages people to actively participate in democratic processes, ensuring that the principles enshrined in the Constitution are not just words on paper, but a guiding force in the nation's governance. It is a day to renew the pledge to uphold the values and ideals that define the diverse and dynamic nation of India. It is for these reasons that we must appreciate the government's efforts for having taken the decision to commemorate and celebrate this day every year since 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution of India that serves to be the much celebrated beacon for the governance of our country did not manifest itself overnight. It was the result of centuries of struggle for our independence and years of relentless toil and labor by our founding fathers, in finding out the system and structure of governance that would be best suited to our needs and circumstances. As one of the greatest authorities on the Indian Constitution, Granville Austin puts it, and I quote, "The Constitution was to foster the achievement of many goals. Transcendent among them was that of social revolution. Through this revolution would be fulfilled the basic needs of the common man, and it was hoped this revolution would bring about fundamental changes in the structure of Indian society, a society with a long and glorious cultural tradition, but greatly in need of a powerful infusion of energy and rationalism. The theme of social revolution runs throughout the proceedings and documents of the Constituent Assembly. It provided the basis for the decisions to adopt parliamentary government and direct elections, the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, and even many aspects of the executive, legislative, and judicial provisions of the Constitution." In Austin's word, the Indian Constitution is a document in which provisions expressing general principles and humanitarian sentiments akin to vows of purpose mingle with those embodying level-headed practicality and administrative detail. As the idealism that marks the Constitution was predominantly a product of a social content of the independence movement, which in turn stemmed from an awareness of the plight of the masses of India. Hence, the practical provisions were largely a product of the Constituent Assembly members' experience in government and of the exigencies of the times. Many of the articles of our Constitution, either in wordings or in content, may have been borrowed from foreign constitutions. However, it is a document to suit India's needs. Thus, what emerges in the form of our Constitution was a document sui generis in nature, so much so that its materialization into existence has often been termed to be na bhuto na bhavishyati, meaning neither was such a thing in the past nor shall there be in future. Dear friends, the theme selected for today's colloquium couldn't have been more germane. The Government of India has been actively pursuing measures and policies, decisions to address the sustainable development goals and tackle the pressing issues of climate change. Several initiatives have been undertaken across various sectors to promote sustainability, environmental conservation, and inclusive development. The National Action Plan for Climate Change outlines India's strategy to combat climate change. The National Solar Mission aims to promote the use of solar energy, and various other programs focus on wind, biomass, and hydropower to reduce dependence on fossil fuel. The Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has been a successful national cleanliness campaign. The Smart City Mission and citizen-friendly, the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana aims to provide clean cooking fuel to households below the poverty line people. The National Biodiversity Mission aims to conserve biological diversity. In the realm of developing digital public infrastructure, the unprecedented work has been done by the government. The development of unified payment interference, that is UPI, has simplified the process of money transfer between banks, making digital transactions more accessible. Launched in 2015, the Digital India program aims to transform the country into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. It encompasses various initiatives including e-governance, digital literacy, and digital infrastructure development. India, being the president of G20, has actively participated in discussions and collaborations related to digital governance, technology, and innovation. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 sets guidelines for data processing, consent mechanism, and the obligations of data fiduciaries. Ladies and gentlemen, in accordance with our constitutional ideals, the government has undertaken various initiatives and implemented policies to promote gender justice and empowerment of women across different sectors. These efforts are aimed at addressing historical gender disparities, promoting equality, and providing women with opportunities for socio-economic advancement. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana are some of the schemes and programs launched by the government for empowerment of girls and women. Above all, the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023, which reserves 1/3 of seats in Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies for women, will go a long way in ensuring political empowerment of women and hence is worthy of special admiration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Constitution is not only a foundational legal document for the governments of India, but also holds relevance in the broader context of international law and global justice. India's constitutional commitment to social justice resonates with global efforts to address historical injustices and inequalities. It contributes to discussions on international development, poverty alleviation, and inclusive global governance. Friends, I would like to conclude my thoughts by saying that the Indian Constitution has shown adaptability through amendments reflecting changing societal norms. This adaptability can be seen as aligning with the evolving nature of international law. India's experiences with constitutional amendments and legal reforms can offer insight into how legal system can respond to evolving legal norms, contributing to discussions on legal innovations in the international arena. With the rapid progress being made throughout all sectors with aim of becoming a fully developed, advanced economy by the time we celebrate a century of our independence, I am of the firm conviction that the same will help us immensely in realizing our dream of once again becoming Vishwaguru. I am much grateful to Dr. Nitin Chandra and other officers of the Ministry of Law and Justice for kind invitation to attend this event and congratulate them for organizing this event today. May the spirit of our Constitution forever illuminate our paths. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for reiterating that the Constitution, Indian Constitution, fulfills the basic needs of the common man. Dr. Ambedkar once said, and I quote, he was the chairman of the drafting committee, he said, and I quote, "If we wish to maintain democracy, not merely in form, but also in fact, what must we do? The first thing in my judgment we must do is to hold fast to constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives," unquote. And ladies and gentlemen, now let's take the program forward. May I now kindly request Honorable Ms. Justice Indira Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, to address all of us. Ma'am.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Vice President of India, former head of the state from which I come, and a jurist in his own right, the Honorable Minister of State in charge for law and justice, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, the Honorable Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, my former Chief Justice at the Calcutta High Court, my former senior colleague, and of course, Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, the Honorable Justice Rituraj Awasthi, Chairperson, Law Commission of India, the Learned Solicitor General of India, Shri Tushar Mehta, the Secretary, Department of Legal Affairs, Government of India, Dr. Niten Chandra, the learned Attorney General for India, Shri Venkataramani, distinguished persons of the dais, panelists, academicians, council, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have gathered here to commemorate and celebrate the historic day 74 years ago when the people of India enacted, adopted, and gave to themselves a unique, idealistic, value-based constitution. Equality, which is egalitarian, gender-friendly, and progressive. The vision of the Constitution is beautifully summarized in its preamble. The Constitution is people-centric. It begins with the words, "We the people of India." We the people of India have constituted India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, which promises to secure to all its citizens, and I emphasize on all, there is no exception. It is irrespective of creed, caste, community, gender, so on and so forth. Promises to secure to all justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote amongst all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. The principles epitomized in the preamble have been elaborated in various other parts of the Constitution, Part 3, Part 4. We often forget, we remember our rights, but we often forget our duties. There is also now a chapter on fundamental duties to which we are committed. I feel honored and privileged to participate in the program today. Adoption of the Constitution is, however, not the journey's end. The chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. Ambedkar, and the president of the assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, speaking on 25th and 26th November 1949, sounded words of warning and wisdom. Dr. Ambedkar said, and I quote, "I feel, however good a constitution may be, it is sure to turn out bad because those who are called to work it happen to be a bad lot. However bad a constitution may be, it may turn out to be good if those who are called to work it happen to be a good lot. The working of a constitution does not depend wholly upon the nature of the constitution. The constitution can provide only the organs of state, such as the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The factor on which the working of those organs of the state depends are the people and the political parties they will set up as their instruments to carry out their wishes and their politics. Who can say how the people of India and their parties will behave? he added, in addition to our own enemies in the form of castes and creeds, we are going to have many political parties with diverse and opposing political creeds. Will Indians place this country above their creed, or will they place creed above country? I do not know, but this much is certain, that if the parties place creed above country, our independence will be put in jeopardy a second time and probably be lost forever. This eventuality we must all resolutely guard against. This was the warning given by none other than Dr. Ambedkar, the father of the Constitution. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, in his concluding speech, observed that they had been able, on the whole, to draft a good constitution, which he trusted would serve the country well. But he added, if the people who are elected are capable and men of character and integrity, they would be able to make the best, even of a defective constitution. If they are lacking in these, the constitution cannot help the country. After all, a constitution, like a machine, is a lifeless thing. It acquires life because of men who control it and operate it. And India needs today nothing more than a set of honest men who will have the interest of the country before them. There is a vociferous tendency arising out of various elements in our life. We have communal differences, caste differences, language differences, provincial differences, and so forth. It requires men of vision, men who will not sacrifice the interest of the country at large for the sake of smaller groups and areas, and who will rise over the prejudices which are born of these differences. We can only hope that the country will throw up such men in abundance. The slogan, reform, perform, and transform, could not be more apt in the light of the warning given by Dr. Ambedkar and, of course, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. We have to ensure the reformation of a system which is ridden with inequality, prejudices, so on and so forth. We are all keenly waiting to listen to the dignitaries, Justice Mishra, the Honorable Minister, Mr. Shri Meghwal, and of course, the Honorable Vice President of India. So I will not take up any more time. I've already covered 5 minutes. I congratulate all of you present here, and I wish the Constitution of India, which enters into its 75th year of glorious existence, success in every way. Long live our Constitution, and congratulations to each and every one of you present, each and every Indian present here today. Thank you very, very much for giving me a patient hearing. I appreciate the commitment of the Ministry of Law to transformative constitutionalism, which is reflected in the selection of topics for the technical session. And as I mentioned in the technical session, I particularly appreciate the use of the expression gender justice within the constitutional scheme. Normally, the expression used is, it is not gender justice, gender empowerment. I stand corrected. Gender empowerment within the constitutional scheme. Normally, the expression used is women's empowerment. It shows great sensitivity to complete equality, equal rights of the masculine gender, the feminine gender, and the third gender, whose rights have been formally recognized by the Supreme Court in 2014 in Nalsa versus Union of India. I thank you also for giving me the opportunity to be here on this momentous occasion and to share my thoughts with you. Thank you very much, all of you, for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you very much, ma'am. May I now call upon Chairperson NHRC of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Arun Kumar Mishra ji, to share his thoughts with us. Sir.
The great jurist, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, Honorable Vice President of India, Honorable Minister of State for Law and Justice, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, Sister Justice Indra Banerjee, Justice Shri Rituraj Avasthi, Shri Tushar Mehta ji, Attorney General for India, Shri Venkat Ramani ji, former judges, members of tribunal commissions, officers of the government, members of the bar, media persons, dear students, and distinguished invitees. The Constitution Day is a great day in the lives of people of modern India. This is a day when our Constitution, one of the finest in the world, was adopted by we, the people. Our Constitution has not only given us the most vibrant democracy in the world, but has also been instrumental in fulfilling socio-economic and political aspirations. By operation of this Constitution, we have taken millions of citizens out of poverty, helped to fulfill their basic needs, empowered women, ensured equality of rights, and uplifted marginalized classes, succeeded in removing illiteracy and working to form an egalitarian society. The constitutional provision operates to improve the quality of individual's life and ensures his advancement as an integral part of society. The directive principles in part of the 4 of the Constitution is a soul for legislative policy actions to ensure human dignity. Article 14 has provided equality and guarantee against arbitrariness. Every person has a right to develop her potential and is not to be deprived of opportunity in pursuit of his choice. Article 19 is the eternal light of freedom, including the right to self-determination. The Constitution cares for children and ensures compulsory education and a dignified childhood, prohibits forced labor, ensures living wages for workers, and provides them the right to participate in management. Justice by social engineering is the outcome of Article 38(2), which contains a directive to a state to eliminate inequality in status, facilities, and opportunities. It mandates to work to minimize income inequalities Distributive justice for people in need is obligatory upon the state as a corrective measure for those who have suffered injustice from generation to generation. It has fulfilled the aspiration of the common people by bringing about much required agrarian reforms. The provisions of corporate social responsibility in Section 135 of the Companies Act is an extension of the principle of supporting persons in need. Article 39 directs the state to endeavor to provide adequate means of livelihood, distribute material resources of the community, prevent concentration of wealth and means of production, and ensures equal pay for equal work. It also gives us a path for children to have a dignified upbringing without fear of exploitation or material abandonment. Article 21 is the bulwark of the democracy. The right to life encompasses a dignified life of the highest attainable standard by ensuring adequate food, proper shelter, employment opportunities, safe drinking water, sanitation and facilities to avail modern scientific education and health care. The right to equality as a fundamental right has a different connotation than in Part 4 of the Directive Principles, in which the state endeavors by affirmative action to make unequal equal by supporting marginalized classes and empowering them. The Constitution provides for inclusiveness, active participation in the development, for securing the social and economic growth of marginalized class of the society. The Constitution mandates us to pursue the elimination of poverty. The Constitution is of the people, by the people, for the people. The people are the means and ends of the development, ensuring inter-alia material well-being, intellectual and spiritual freedom and progress. Article 39 contemplated no one to be left behind. People are at the center of the sustainable development. The Indian cultural ethos and philosophy of caring for humanity, peace, justice, empathy and compassion are part of our constitutional philosophy. In modern times, technology is the most potent weapon of power of the day. It must help create opportunities and preserve our natural resources for securing intergenerational equity. Arthaveda propounds the concept of sustainable development by protecting minerals, flora and fauna. Our Constitution has expanded the same spirit. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. In our age-old principle of Mahopanishad, Constitution is the true tryst with destiny. It has secured our past and present and ensures a better future for coming generation. The Constitution mandates policy and program to reduce the adverse impact on the marginalized class and reparation. Businesses must care for human rights. The development plan of action must account for the effects. Climatic change is having a severe impact on the poorest of the poor world over. The rising temperature is reducing productivity. Air and water pollution are reducing human lifespan, and uncontrolled use of chemical fertilizers adversely impact our land. It requires mitigation. The environment has a transborder impact. Our Constitution directs states and individuals to take care of environment, nature, flora and fauna. To live a healthy life is a right. The health sector must provide quality treatment to low-income people at an affordable cost as part of their right to life by implementing welfare schemes. We live in digital era, which is helpful for progress and development. There is phenomenal increase in internet users. However, 96% of the cyberspace is dark web. its use for criminal purposes such as exploitation of children, destroying the right to privacy, modern slavery, trafficking, and demanding ransom by data hacking must be stopped. We have to invest and develop a broad-based digital forensic infrastructure to tackle the misuse of cyberspace and criminal commerce. At the same time, we have to ensure that digital divide is not there. The Constitution aim is the collective well-being of all. The same spirit is to be found in Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Our constitutional philosophy is to think little for ourselves and more for others. Swasme Swalpam Samajaya Sarvaswam, which is our ancient philosophy. Prosperity must be shared in the spirit that weaker become stronger. Our Constitution protects religious and cultural ethos in the spirit of Yato Dharmasato Jaya, meaning victory lies in Dharma. The development of science and technology must be for constructive purposes. Its misuse impedes human rights. We must design and enforce appropriate regulatory regime. A number of affirmative actions have been taken for upliftment of SC, STs and backward classes. However, certain deprived sections in these classes require supportive measures like reservation to compete with those who have benefited in these classes. Gender justice is necessary for meaningful development. The time has come to define the phrase gender equality. Women are still discriminated against. They must enjoy the same civil and other rights, inheritance rights, holding properties, education and employment. We have an independent and effective judiciary for imparting justice. It has added forward to provisions of the Constitution. Justice is imparted by various institutions, including executives on administrative sides, failing which people visit the courts. Constitutional intent is that all institutions must be justice-oriented. Entertaining letter petitions and PILs have brought several reforms. PIL is useful, however, its misuse for political purposes must stop. To realize the goal of Constitution, we must ensure free and fair, violence-free elections. Violence has no place in the democratic process. Fair election is recognized as a human right. Time has come to distinguish between the promise made to voters to create an egalitarian social order envisaged by Chapter 4 and when freebies promised would be equivalent to alluring voters by forbidden means in election. The same needs to be determined at the appropriate level and forum, if necessary by specific legislation. In discharging its statutory duty, the National Human Rights Commission, as mandated by Constitution, has issued 11 advisories in the recent past to uplift marginalized classes. Constitution Day reminds us of the karma theory of Gita. Karmane vadikarastu ma fareshu kadachana. It reminds us of Article 51A, providing duties to be performed first to enjoy our rights. Let me congratulate everyone on the Constitution Day and rededicate ourselves to working for the goals set and the path shown by the Constitution. This is also a day to pay respect to our Constitution makers who gave us such a Constitution that has stood the test of time and brought light into our lives by showing the right path as we the people. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. माननीय राज्य मंत्री विधि और न्याय मंत्रालय स्वतंत्र विभाग श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी, माननीय आपसे अनुरोध है कि आप कृपया अपने विचार हमारे समक्ष रखें। बहुत बहुत आभार पुनः हम प्रकट करते हैं कि आप हमारे समक्ष हैं इस समय। आइए।
संविधान दिवस के अवसर पर आयोजित इस कार्यक्रम में हमारे मुख्य अतिथि भारत के माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति आदरणीय श्री जगदीप धनखड़ साहब, जोरदार ताली बजा के करतल ध्वनि से आप स्वागत करें। मंच पर उपस्थित हमारे न्यायमूर्ति श्री अरुण कुमार मिश्रा जी, जो चेयरपर्सन हैं NHRC के, हमारे लॉ कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के चेयरपर्सन हैं ऋतुराज अवस्थी जी, हमारे पूर्व न्यायाधीश सुप्रीम कोर्ट न्यायमूर्ति सुश्री इंदिरा बनर्जी जी, हमारे तुषार मेहता जी जो सॉलिसिटर जनरल ऑफ इंडिया है, हमारे सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ लीगल अफेयर्स में डॉक्टर नितिन चंद्रा जी, अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑफ इंडिया वेंकट रमणी जी, मेंबर्स ऑफ ITAT एंड अदर ट्रिब्यूनल्स, मेंबर ऑफ अदर ट्रिब्यूनल्स, सभी विशिष्ट अतिथिगण, सबको मेरा नमस्कार। संविधान दिवस पर आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। देखिए, ये संविधान दिवस का अवसर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने हमको दिया। आप पूछेंगे क्यों? जब बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर जी की 125वीं जयंती थी और पूरा देश 125वीं जयंती मना रहा था, उस समय 19 नवंबर 2015 को भारत सरकार के मंत्रालय से एक नोटिफिकेशन निकला कि अब से 26 नवंबर संविधान दिवस के रूप में मनाया जाएगा और पूरे देश में मनाया जाएगा। ये बड़ा एक कदम उठाया। 26 नवंबर 1949 को संविधान सभा ने संविधान को अडॉप्ट किया, तो उसका अगर हम हिसाब लगाएं तो 74 साल पूरे हो गए। 75वें वर्ष में प्रवेश करेंगे तो ये अमृत वर्ष भी कहलाता है। इसलिए भी आप सबको बधाई और शुभकामनाएं। हमारे से पूर्व जितने भी स्पीकर बोले, उन्होंने जो भारत सरकार की योजनाएं उनका जिक्र किया। एक ही उद्देश्य है सारी योजनाओं को कि हमें 2047 तक भारत को विकसित भारत बनाना है, ये सपना लेना है। मैं इस अवसर पर सभी हमारे संविधान सभा के सदस्य, जो 299 संख्या थी जब संविधान सभा पहली बार बैठी 9 दिसंबर 1946 को, तो वो सदस्य संख्या थी 299। उसमें राजाओं के प्रतिनिधि भी थे सम्मिलित। और उस संविधान सभा ने 17 समितियां बनाई। सॉरी, उनके अध्यक्ष भी थे। जैसे 4 समितियों के अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद थे, 3 समितियों के अध्यक्ष पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू थे, वल्लभ भाई पटेल भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, अलादी कृष्णा स्वामी अय्यर भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, वी पटाभी सितार मैया, जिनका जिक्र तुषार मेहता जी कर रहे थे, वो भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, जीवी मावलंकर, जिनका कल जन्मदिन है, जो हमारे लोकसभा के पहले स्पीकर रहे, वो भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, SC मुखर्जी वो भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, JB कृपलानी जी वो भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे, और गोपीनाथ बारदोलाई वो भी एक समिति के अध्यक्ष थे। लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एक समिति थी जिसका नाम था ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी, और उसके चेयरमैन थे डॉक्टर BR अंबेडकर। बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर जी को हम इसलिए आज के संविधान दिवस के अवसर पर याद करते हैं कि उन्होंने संविधान के निर्माण में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई। लेकिन उनके साथ 7 सदस्य भी थे, उनका भी जिक्र हमें करना चाहिए। उनमें प्रारूप समिति के जो अन्य सदस्य थे, अल्लादी कृष्णा स्वामी अयंगर, बड़ा नाम था, N गोपाल स्वामी अयंगर, यह भी बड़ा नाम था, कन्हैयालाल माणिकलाल मुंशी, के मुंशी जिनको बोलते हैं, ये भी बड़ा नाम था। सैयद मोहम्मद सादुल्ला, ये भी बड़ा नाम था। एन माधवराज, बाद में उनके स्थान पर आए बीएल मित्रा के स्थान पर आए एन माधवराज, ये भी बड़ा नाम था। और डीपी खेतान साहब की, जब वो भी पहले मेंबर थे, जब उनकी डेथ हो गई तो उनकी जगह आए टी कृष्णमाचारी। इन सबको आज के दिन हम याद करते हैं और इतना शानदार संविधान दिया, इसके लिए उनका अभिनंदन भी करते हैं। देखिए, मुझे लंबा नहीं बोलना, लेकिन 2-3 चीजें मैं जरूर कहूंगा कि किस तरह से जो लीगल प्रोफेशन के लोग होते हैं, जैसे हमारे माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति जी भी हैं, मजबूत तर्क रखते हैं। राज्यसभा में डिबेट के समय भी देखा होगा कि लीगल प्रोफेशन तर्कों के साथ मजबूत तर्क रखते हैं। तो एक उदाहरण दूंगा संविधान सभा की चर्चा का। जैसे एक विषय आया राष्ट्र ध्वज समिति में कि हमारा जो ध्वज है वो कितने रंगों का हो, कैसा हो, क्योंकि किसी भी राष्ट्र के लिए ध्वज एक महत्वपूर्ण होता है। उसकी जो ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री होती है वो महत्वपूर्ण है, उसकी रक्षा के लिए सेना महत्वपूर्ण होती है, करेंसी इकोनॉमी के लिए महत्वपूर्ण होती है, ऐसे कई विषय महत्वपूर्ण होते हैं 4-5। उसमें यह बड़ा विषय था राष्ट्र ध्वज, उसका कलर कैसा, साइज कैसी, ये बड़ा डिबेटेबल इशू बन गया। लेकिन सब कुछ तय होते होते 3 रंगों का होगा, केसरिया, सफेद और हरा। बीच में क्या होगा? ये 3 रंगों का मैं तो बताया संविधान सभा में, लेकिन बीच में क्या होगा? तो बीच में किसी ने कहा चरखा कर दीजिए। चरखा चूंकि उस समय बहुत महत्वपूर्ण था, गांधी जी का भी चरखा का विषय था, किसी ने सुझाव दिया, सब संविधान सभा के लोग सुझाव दे रहे थे कि स्वस्तिक कर दीजिए, ये भारतीय संस्कृति का महत्वपूर्ण है, बीच में ऐसा होना चाहिए। अब जो लीगल प्रोफेशन से जुड़े हुए काफी लोग संविधान सभा में थे, उस समय डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर साहब खड़े होते हैं और वो कहते हैं मैं एक सुझाव आपको देता हूं। और उस सुझाव को सबने सुना, राष्ट्र ध्वज समिति में सबने सुना। उन्होंने कहा कि केसरिया, सफेद और ये हरा, ये 3 रंग झंडे में हैं, लेकिन बीच में कुछ होना चाहिए आप कहते हो। तो मेरे हिसाब से जो अशोक स्तंभ से जो धम्म चक्र है उसमें 24 तिलियों का एक चक्र है, उसको लेना चाहिए। तो कुछ ने आपत्ति की कि ये सारनाथ स्थित जो अशोक स्तंभ है उसमें धम्म चक्र की जो 24 तिलियां, ये क्यों ले हम? तो बाबा साहब डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर खड़े हुए कि ध्वज को देख करके आदमी ध्वज को भी प्रणाम करता है और उससे गुण भी लेता है। जैसे आपने कहा सफेद देखेगा तो देखा शांति आनी चाहिए, हरा देखेगा तो प्रॉस्पेरिटी आनी चाहिए, केसरिया देखा तो वीरता आनी चाहिए, ऐसे गुण लेता है। तो मैं 24 जो ये तिलियां हैं उनके आपको गुण बताता हूं। जब उन्होंने सारे गुणों का वर्णन किया तब लोग चकित रह गए। ये लीगल बैकग्राउंड के लोगों की खासियत होती है, जैसे हमारे उपराष्ट्रपति जी की खासियत है। क्या कहा उन्होंने? किस धम्म चक्र की 24 तिलियां 24 गुण दर्शाती है? कौन कौन से गुण? प्रेम, पराक्रम, धैर्य, शांति, दयालुता, अच्छाई, निष्ठा, सौम्यता, आत्मसंयम, निस्वार्थता, आत्म बलिदान, सच्चाई, नीति परायणता, न्याय, करुणा, शालीनता, नम्रता, समानुभूति, संवेदना, परम ज्ञान, परम बुद्धिमता, परम नैतिकता, सभी जीवों से प्रेम, प्रकृति की दयालुता में विश्वास, ये 24 गुण हैं, इसलिए उसको आप अपनाइए। फिर किसी ने कहा कि चरखा कहता है कि लगातार चलते रहो, तो बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर ने इसी का ही उदाहरण देकर के कहा कि ये धम्म चक्र भी कहता है इसमें 24 तिलियां 24 गुण हैं और ये कहता है 24 घंटे ही चलते रहो। उसके बाद ये आपका जो राष्ट्र ध्वज है ये स्वीकार हो गया। ऐसे बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर उनके साथियों को हम आज याद करते हैं। एक विषय और कहकर के मेरी बात को समाप्त करूंगा। जैसे तुषार मेहता साहब ने कहा कि हमारे आसपास काफी देश आजाद हुए थे। तुषार मेहता साहब, हमारे आसपास 2-3 सालों में 50 देश आजाद हुए और वो एशियन अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज ज्यादा थी। अब हमारे यहां एक सब्जेक्ट आया संविधान सभा में, अडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज। तो लोगों ने कहा ये क्या कर रहे हो जी, एक साथ मताधिकार मत दीजिए, महिलाओं को अभी देने की कहां जरूरत है। जो पुरुष कहेगा महिला का वही मत होता है। फिर कहा कुछ लोग अनपढ़ हैं, वो मताधिकार का प्रयोग ही नहीं करना जानते, उनको अभी मत दीजिए, 20-25 साल बाद में दे दीजिए। तो ये जो 50 देश हमारे आसपास जो आजाद हुए, उनके लिए प्रेरणा भारत कैसे बने, तो उस समय डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर खड़े हुए संविधान सभा में और सभी सदस्यों को कहा कि ये क्या कर रहे हो आप। नेहरू जी को कोट करते हुए कहा कि पंडित जी, आप अभी 2 दिन पहले तो मुझे कह रहे थे कि मुझे एशियन अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज का लीडर बनना है, कुछ नया करिए। वो कैसे आपका अनुसरण करेंगे। यहां संविधान सभा में चर्चा करते समय कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि यूएस में भी महिलाओं को मताधिकार लेट मिला और इंग्लैंड में भी महिलाओं को मताधिकार 100 साल के संघर्ष के बाद मिला, वो भी 2 पार्ट में। पहले 40 साल से बड़ी उम्र की महिलाओं को मिला, पढ़ी लिखी महिलाओं को, फिर सारी महिलाओं को हम एक साथ कैसे दे दें। उन्होंने कहा अगर हमने महिलाओं को मताधिकार नहीं दिया तो आधी आबादी के साथ न्याय नहीं होगा। जो संविधान की प्रस्तावना में हम न्याय लिख रहे हैं, तब उन्होंने कहा क्या करना चाहिए। तब उनका डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर साहब का बहुत सुंदर भाषण है संविधान सभा में। उन्होंने कहा 1 पर्सन 1 वोट और 1 वैल्यू। ये वैल्यू क्यों बोला, क्योंकि संविधान सभा की चर्चा में आया एक नगर सेठ है, उन्होंने कहा 22 करोड़ लोग हैं, कैसे मानेंगे सबको अगर वोट का अधिकार नहीं होगा। बोला एक नगर सेठ है, वोट एक देगा 10,000 गिन लीजिए। एक राजा है, वोट एक देगा 20,000 गिन लीजिए। एक बड़ा राजा है, वोट एक देगा 50,000 गिन लीजिए। एक वकील है, वोट एक देगा 5,000 गिन लीजिए। तो उन्होंने कहा क्या कर रहे हो भैया, आप मताधिकार सबको बराबर दीजिए। 1 पर्सन 1 वोट 1 वैल्यू, ये होगा तभी लोकतंत्र जिंदा रहेगा, लोकतंत्र मजबूत होगा। इसलिए एक साथ जो मताधिकार का हमें अधिकार मिला, वो बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर जी के कारण मिला। संविधान सभा के सभी सदस्यों का आभार प्रकट करते हैं। उन्होंने एक चीज और कही कि आप इनको मताधिकार देकर के तो देखिए, जिस दिन मतदान होगा उस दिन महिलाएं भी, अनपढ़ लोग भी समझेंगे हमारे पास राइट है हमारा प्रतिनिधि सुनने का। तो जिस दिन मतदान होगा, जैसे लोग होली मनाते हैं, दिवाली मनाते हैं, ऐसे मतदान दिवस का भी सेलिब्रेशन करेंगे। और आज जब हम देखते हैं, चाहे ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में चुनाव हो, चाहे एमएलए का चुनाव हो, चाहे एमपी का चुनाव हो, महिलाएं सज धज करके वोट देने आती है, तो हमें लगता है बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की इच्छा पूरी हुई है। कितना बढ़िया मतदान का प्रयोग हो रहा है। ये जो कुछ काम किया बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर जी ने, इसलिए संविधान दिवस के अवसर पर जितने भी समितियों के अध्यक्ष थे, जितने भी समितियों के मेंबर थे, जितने भी संविधान सभा में सदस्य थे और ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के चेयरमैन विशेष रूप से बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर जी को मैं शत शत प्रणाम करके मेरी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद माननीय, भारतीय इतिहास के पन्नों की कुछ झलक दिखलाने के लिए। और अब मैं नम्रतापूर्वक निवेदन करती हूं हमारे आज के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति श्री जगदीप धनखड़ जी से। सर, इस शुभ अवसर पर आप अपने शब्दों से हम सबको अनुग्रहित करें, हम इंतजार कर रहे हैं। धन्यवाद।
Good evening, all of you. I must compliment you all for enormous patience because it has been a very long session. You have been feasted with finest of addresses emanating from people who know the subject and know it too well. वो कहते हैं ना, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया मैं, मेरे हिस्से में कुछ बचा ही नहीं. Sri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, don't be mistaken by his dress. He is a former bureaucrat, has been a very successful district magistrate and IAS. Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, let me tell you something very significant about him. An epochal event, a game-changer constitutional provision, women reservation. He was the minister in charge. On 20th September 2023, he introduced the amendment in Lok Sabha. I was in the chair in Rajya Sabha on 21st September, and he was there. Congratulations to him, because for good 3 decades, number of efforts were made. They could not fructify into a ground reality. He has managed it. Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, I am beholden to Justice Indira Banerjee for giving introduction of Justice Mishra. I have faced Justice Mishra as a judge of Madhya Pradesh High Court, as Chief Justice of Rajasthan High Court, and in the Supreme Court. And my last appearance, when I was appointed by the, I say appointed because I was Governor State of West Bengal, and my Chief Minister insisted every time I was nominated, so I used the word appointed. I appeared in his court, a man of spinal strength, has elevated National Human Rights Commission to a very high level, a team leader, and has given those dimensions to human rights that do justice to Bharat, home to 1/6 of humanity. Justice Indira Banerjee, ma'am gave a very, very exhaustive analysis of constitutional working. She focused on quotes of Tagore, rightly so. I do have connection with Bengal. I greeted ma'am by saying namaskar. And we were all enlightened on some of the facets that needed really enlightenment. Sri Tushar Mehta and Justice Arun Mishra have made my task very difficult at home. They both have called me jurist. My wife doesn't agree. And normally she is right. But then I have fallen in her trap by telling her that jurists are not good lawyers. So she may rejoice in some sense these observations. I have known Mr. Tushar Mehta for a very long time. I'm an older man compared to him. I appreciated him at a time about 16 years ago when he did not know me and I knew him. I knew him out of his contribution to the court in Delhi High Court. We'll have to examine his DNA. Where does he get all the energy to be so thoroughly prepared for every case? I admire his level of preparation and more than that, wit and humor. I am no longer a senior advocate. If I were one, I would have tried my talent to provoke you someday. He is beyond provocation. Dr. Nitin Chandraji, Secretary, Department of Legal Affairs. Whenever I read this description, I am reminded of my career when I was elected to Lok Sabha in 1989 and became a Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. A journalist from India today asked me, and I responded, not even my postgraduate wife is aware about what is meant by parliamentary affairs. So he handles legal affairs. Someday we'll find out from him what are the contours of legal affairs. Distinguished audience, but I must recognize the presence of Attorney General of India, Shri Venkatramani, a man of sublimity, deeply religious, keeps his decibel low, but reveals great substance. I have been in court on the other side also. He never loses temper and continues to be a married man. Congratulations to brothers and sisters all over the globe on this Constitution Day. This is a befitting occasion to remember with a sense of gratitude and reverence our founding fathers, who sagaciously gave us unique constitution that is a spine to our democracy. I wouldn't reflect much. Much has been said by the Honorable Minister and earlier speakers. Let us, in togetherness, reaffirm this day our allegiance to constitutional core values. And friends, this is a serious statement. Some of us are getting out of line on this. Over the years, Constitution has been a beacon of hope and freedom, except, and that was the darkest period, a period we would like to forget. Young students, boys and girls may not be aware of it. And that was proclamation of emergency by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in June 1975. The darkest period in post-independent history of democratic India. Imposition of emergency was outrageous, trampling of constitutional sense and spirit. It was no less than sacrilege of the Constitution, a document so dear now to 1.4 billion people. 1975 में तत्कालीन प्रधानमंत्री द्वारा आपातकाल लागू करना संविधान का बहुत बड़ा अपमान था, संविधान की आत्मा पर कुठाराघात था. Fortunately for us, our democratic values are so strengthened and so deep-rooted and embedded. Such a misadventure cannot even be thought of in present times. The Honorable Minister had indicated that it was in 2015 that the idea occurred to the Honorable Prime Minister to have 26th November as a Constitution Day. Exactly, it was on 11th October 2015, because the notification of which the Honorable Minister is too sure about it was on the date you indicated, 19th of November. But the declaration was made by the Honorable Prime Minister at Mumbai on October 11, 2015, and the occasion was he was laying the foundation stone of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Statue of Equality Memorial in Mumbai. Let me, friends, reflect. Such a great son of the soil, we admire him so much, architect of India's Constitution. But it was a proud moment for me as a member of Parliament in 1989 to 91 and as a Union Minister that Bharat Ratna was conferred to him during our regime. It was a matter of great satisfaction. But we all must reflect deeply why there was delay of so many decades. I leave it at that. About framing of our Constitution, the Honorable Minister has indicated about the committees, the role played by the committees. Let me indicate two aspects for my young friends, boys and girls. Others are aware of it. Article 370 was the only article of Indian Constitution that was not drafted by the drafting committee. All other articles were drafted. And Dr. Ambedkar declined to draft it. I would urge you to go through his communication on the point and look at how this Article 370, a temporary article of the Constitution, bled us, made the life of people of Jammu and Kashmir hellish. We are beholden to the wisdom of the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi and sagacious approach of the Honorable Union Home Minister Shri Amit Shah. That article is no longer in our Constitution. In a sense, it is a tribute to Dr. Ambedkar that what he did not approve, that has been honored by the Indian Parliament with the vision of the Prime Minister. Second, my very dear friend Tushar Mehtaji made reference about the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji, that he played a critical role in integration of princely states. Sardar played very critical role. 3 options were available to the princely states, but Sardar again was kept away from dealing with the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Sardar's success was 100%. History of this country would have been very different if Sardar had also been entrusted with the task of integration of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The nation has paid a great price for it. Thankfully, we are back on the rails. Friends, Constitution Day is a befitting occasion for us to reflect how our constitutional organs have performed. What is the state of the nation? It has been indicated by the Secretary in particular, the growth trajectory of this country. It is soothing to note that our growth trajectory is incremental for last about a decade and will continue to be so. Is a matter of satisfaction. Growth is impacting every walk of life and every segment of society. India's growth has been appreciated for one single reason. It is not pyramidical. It is plateau kind of development, which means everyone is getting benefit of it. If your metro Delhi has 5G connectivity, my village also has it. That's a great achievement. Friends, just a decade ago, and worrisomely, we were part of fragile 5 economies in the world. It was a cause of deep concern to everyone. And just in a decade, we have traversed to that level that we are the 5th largest global economy, an accomplishment of 2022. By 2030, as already indicated here, we will be 3rd largest global economy. But what is more significant for youngsters, for boys and girls, in the process we have overtaken the economies of UK, France, Germany, and Japan. What an achievement for us. I had the good fortune to be associated and to know the point of view of global leaders when we had G20, one of the most impeccable programs the world has ever seen. There were no fault lines. World Bank and IMF two global premier financial institutions, which earlier had been indicating how difficult we are in economy. I was a union minister in 1990 when our gold in physical form had to be taken to Switzerland to sustain our financial credibility. Our foreign exchange then was between 1 billion and 2 billion. Now it is over 600 billion. So what they say about? They hail India's phenomenal rise, unprecedented growth, and financial inclusion. In International Monetary Fund reckons India as a bright global spot of investment and opportunity. And according to the World Bank, our digitization model is worth emulation by other countries. Details have already been given, I'll not bother you. Friends, look at our current contemporaneous scenario. Unprecedented, intense infrastructural growth, deep penetration of technology, digitization, continual formalization of economy, transparent and accountable governance, zero accommodation for corruption. These are facets and new norms of governance. And the benefit is coming to the young boys and girls. They will get level playing field. India's phenomenal rise, sea, land, air, space, is a matter of global recognition. Declaration on August 23 as National Space Day because it marks Chandrayaan 3 landing on moon. Landing on moon at that part, South Pole. We are the first country in the world to do so. We are in big league. That has been accomplished by our scientists. A country that had lost hope. We were not optimistic. The mood has transformed by a series of initiatives and governance policies. And there is optimism and buoyancy all over as benefits of development are impacting those in the last strata. As a consequence of series of governance initiatives and steps, details have already been given by previous speakers. We have an ecosystem where everyone is enabled to use his or her talent and potential to realize aims and dreams. This is an ecosystem which will help boys and girls to attain heights as per your aptitude and inclination. Sky is the limit for you. We are in Amrit Kal, and I can say from every consideration, our Amrit Kal is our Gaurav Kal. India is making most by getting involved with disruptive technologies. There is no escape from it. There was a time we could never think of being in the front of countries that were focusing on these technologies. Now we are. We are part of less than double-digit countries who are focusing on large-scale cloud adoption. And just imagine a country like ours has taken global lead in having national quantum mission. 6,000 crores have already been allocated for it. Green hydrogen mission, 19,000 crores have been allocated. By 2030, green hydrogen mission has the potential to attract 6 lakh crore investment and generate 8 lakh employment. We are now futuristic in our approach because we are that part of the world now where the world looks at us. We are setter of agenda, no longer part of agenda. Voice of the Indian Prime Minister was never heard so loudly by the world as now. Respect for our passport was never that high as now. Friends, we like it or not, disruptive technologies, we'll have to live with them. They are our bedfellows. So we'll have to extract their positivity. The good part is that our country is amongst very few countries in the world who are addressing the issue with positivity. And that will be greatly helpful in getting our slot as was indicated by the Honorable Minister when we attain centenary of our independence in 2047. Visionary leadership of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has elevated our global status and reputation. And this I could feel in G20. Every world leader was so stunned and impressed. And why not? G20 footfall was in every state of the country, in every union territory. 60 locations and 200 interactions. They came to see India, entire India. Central government and state government contributed wholesomely. There were no fault lines. It was an amazing event. But look at the achievements. India's rise in global community of nations is very high because we could secure in G20 inclusion of African Union. European Union was already part of it. African Union. We could impact the world, emerge as a leader to voice the voice of Global South. We could create a great opportunity in commerce and economy by having that corridor, Bharat, Middle East and Europe. That was there ages ago in existence. That's what we have done. Our country has taken lead in biofuels. As a matter of fact, we are giving so much to the world, subscribing to our concept, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This has been realized. The Honorable Minister, whom I have credited, rightly so, with getting through this bill. But what Dr. Ambedkar said on this, I quote, and Dr. Ambedkar captured the essence of this when he was in reflective mode. I quote, I measure the progress of a community. I'm quoting Dr. Ambedkar. I measure the progress of a community with the degree of progress women have achieved, unquote. I had the satisfaction because of the 7 awardees whom I congratulate. 4 were girls. This constitutionally sanctified reservation to the extent of 1/3 for women in Lok Sabha and state legislatures is not the upper limit. It's a lower limit. It will always be higher because they are duly entitled to contest from other seats as well. Friends, affirmative executive governance marked with unprecedented impactful results has ensured that rise of the nation now is unstoppable. But I still find some of us, number is very small. The digestive system is very bad for our growth. I will call upon doctors to find some way out. Every time there is something great happening in the country, they engage into tainting, tarnishing, demeaning our institutions. It is duty of every Indian to believe in Bharat. We have no option. The only option is we must always keep our nation first. We must play politics. I am not a stakeholder in politics. I am a stakeholder in governance. But when it comes to governance or the government or the nation, keep politics out of it. But some people find it very difficult. A public opinion can really change the course of events. Friends, our robust judicial system is globally recognized for its independence and productivity. Leveraging technology, the Supreme Court has recently rendered judicial system people-centric. This has been accomplished by rolling out several systemic initiatives to improve transparency, efficiency, and access to justice. Many steps have been taken. Chief Justice Chandrachud emphasized, I quote him, courts need to remodel themselves to reach out to people instead of people reaching out, unquote. It is so satisfying to note that efforts have been taken by the Supreme Court in this direction, and they are bearing fruit. A big change is coming in judicial administration, and the E-Committee of the Supreme Court has spearheaded transformative initiatives, and they are changing the lives for the better of litigants. The litigants are now unable to get what they had been looking for decades, and fortunately the sweeping action of this committee is spread not only to Supreme Court but also to High Court and courts below. Digitization has been employed by the Supreme Court to make justice system litigant friendly and people centric. These steps that have been taken, proactive steps, particularly in last 1 year, they have generated a more efficient, transparent mechanism, and people have greater access to it with confidence. They no longer have to rely on secondary material. What the Prime Minister had indicated a few months back, this is securing ease of justice. Much has been said about evolution of our Constitution. We must remember it was evolved by Constituent Assembly. We have judges, former judges on the dais. They nearly outnumber us. Am I right? Because Mr. Tushar Mehta will play neutral. When Constitution was evolved by the Constituent Assembly, the message is loud and clear. It is in the exclusive domain of Parliament. Parliament alone is architect of the Constitution, to the exclusion of any other agency, be it executive or judiciary. To put it in layman's language, Parliament can't script a judgment of the Supreme Court. And similarly, Supreme Court can't script law for us. That's our domain. Parliament is reflective of the will of the people. People who sit in Parliament are there because through a legitimized mechanism on a proper platform, the people have expressed their mandate. And therefore, Parliament is the soul of democracy, authentically reflecting mood of the people, their opinions. Supremacy of Parliament as the sole architect of the Constitution is unquestionable. It is not amenable in its task to intervention either from the executive or from the judiciary. Sovereignty of Parliament is synonymous with sovereignty of the nation, and the same is impregnable. Why I say so? Executive of the day survives only if it has strength in the Parliament. I don't want to be loud-mouthed, but the other institution also survives only when it is sanctified by Parliament. And therefore, such a body, the premise of which is, the foundation of which is the mandate of the people, cannot allow any incursion in its domain that will be disturbing the delicate apple cart of governance in a democracy. Friends, any incursion in the exclusive domain of Parliament will be constitutional aberration, apart from being antithetical to democratic essence and values. Democracy is optimally nurtured when state organs like the executive, the judiciary and the legislature work in harmony, tandem and togetherness. There is well-defined constitutional domain for the executive and the judiciary and the legislature. It is constitutional mandate that all these organs of the state function in their respective domain. The arrogation of authority by one organ of the other was beyond contemplation of framers of the Constitution. If you look into the reflections of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he never adverted to this aspect. It was beyond his contemplation that there could ever be a system or a mechanism or an attempt of incursion into the sovereign domain of Parliament. A situation we need to iron out. Time to preserve, sustain, and blossom constitutional essence rather than subject it to sacrilege by transgressions by one in the domain of the other. To ensure continual growth of Bharat, home to 1/6 of humanity, friends, it is imperative. It is unavoidable. It is a must that the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature generate collaborative discourse rather than the confrontational perception. Governance is dynamic. Given the emergence of challenges and technological onslaughts, there are bound to be differences. There are bound to be issues. Issues have to be ironed out. In a country like ours, which has to show part to the entire world, there must be convergence of attitude amongst these three institutions in particular. If there are differences which are bound to be there, such differences and resolution thereof must take place by taking recourse to sublime statesmanship. Public posturing or generating perception as a strategy to deal with such differences is best avoided. I can assure you, I am a foot soldier of judiciary. I am from legal profession. Judicial independence, like to millions of people in the country, is very dear to me. We want a spinally strong judiciary. And I can say without fear of contradiction, our judiciary is one of the best in the world. I have appreciated the innovative steps that have been taken. The independence of our judiciary is unquestioned. But time has come that we must have a mechanism of a structured interaction amongst those at the helm of affairs of such institutions so that issues don't come in public domain. I wouldn't say more on the subject because that will be going against the grain of what I've said. But I'm happy to note that people in command of the institutions are statesmen. They are far-sighted. Be it the Prime Minister of the country, the President of the nation, or Chief Justice of India. We couldn't be more fortunate than having these illustrious people heading the institutions. And therefore, any aberration coming in the public domain by observation or otherwise will not be soothing to our ears, which means soothing to the ears of people at large. I am working in my own way, in my capacity, to generate such a system because none of the people in the institutions can be complainants. They can't be complainants. They have to bring about resolution of complaints of the people at large. I am sure good times are ahead. On this momentous day, I would make a reference to Sage reflection of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I am particularly referring to this particular reflection of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar because this gives a firm premise to what I have said a while ago. I quote Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The objective of the Constitution is not only limited to creation of three organs of the Union, but also to define the limits of their powers. And it is also essential because if the limits are not defined, the institutions will become autocratic and start exploitation. Therefore, the legislature should be free to enact any law. The executive should be free to take any decision, and the Supreme Court should be free to interpret laws. Constitutional provision providing for interpretation of law or constitution to the Supreme Court is a small slit it can't be a floodgate. We have to be extremely worried about it. And I'm sure with people around, with the kind of talent they have, with the kind of spirit of nationalism they are fired with, these issues will be thrashed out, and we'll be in a situation to have our institutions functioning in harmony and togetherness in tandem to achieve that our Bharat rise to the highest level. Friends, lest I be accused, I'll have a reflection on parliamentarians also, the legislature. The Honorable Minister is here. The Honorable Minister wears another hat also, and that is as Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Through him, I appeal to parliamentarians all over the country, members of Parliament and state legislature need to weaponize debate, dialogue, discussion and deliberation, and certainly not disturbance and disruption as a political strategy. Right now, we have the reverse of it. Disruption and disturbance have been weaponized as a political strategy to make proceedings of the House dysfunctional. But I appeal to the people at large, particularly boys and girls. You are the greatest stakeholders in governance. Some of us may not be around when India celebrates centenary of its independence in 2047, but you will be there. You are warriors of 2047 Bharat. Burden lies on your shoulders. You have enough capacity and potential, given the kind of social media we have these days, to generate a public opinion. It is not soothing to the eyes that parliamentarians in Parliament do not do the job expected of parliamentarians by people like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. We need a change of mindset and ecosystem. I leave it at that. Friends, let us resolve on this day to keep nation always first. We must be proud Indians. We must take pride in our historic achievements. I can legitimately thank you all for your great patience. I mean it. Thank you. Jai Bharat.
धन्यवाद माननीय, आपके आशीर्वचनों के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और अब कृपया राष्ट्रगान के लिए सब अपने अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं।
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे, जय 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 हे।
आप सबसे निवेदन है कि कृपया अपने स्थान पर ही बैठे रहें till our honorable chief guest, the Vice President of our country, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, till he departs. Thank you so much. Kindly be seated in the audience. I request you all to please be seated till our honorable chief guest has departed from here. दिल की गहराइयों से हम सबका आभार प्रकट करते हैं, हमारे विशिष्ट अतिथिगण और हमारी ऑडियंस दोनों का ही। Thank you very much. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.